misspelled your name.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That was probably as good as I've ever heard anywhere. Like I said, I spent 10 years in the Middle East, and they couldn't get my name right. So this is very much. Is it okay? Close. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I have to apologize very much. I'm ashamed, even though I've been in Indonesia now for 4 years. I haven't learned enough Indonesian to give you this presentation in Indonesian, so it's going to be in English. I apologize for that in advance, and I acknowledge that I am ashamed to be standing and not being able to speak Indonesian at this point in time, so sorry about that. I'd also like to thank the IdSecConf committee for giving me this opportunity to speak today. Really proud to be here and excited to deliver this presentation to you. I'm also super nervous, so I might forget stuff, so bear with me if I do. So today's presentation that I want to give you guys is on defeating mobile malware on the BlackBerry handheld. Now, this paper actually I've written it almost 2 years ago, so it's kind of old. But what I did was I looked around to, online to see if anyone else had these same ideas that I had. And to be honest, I didn't see anything. So I think it's time for me to at least put this out there, so that you guys can maybe take a look at it, evaluate it, and then maybe build on top of it. The reason why, there could be two reasons why nobody else has done this. One is because I didn't think about it, which is cool, because I thought about it first. And the second reason is actually that it's a completely stupid idea, and I'm crazy, right, for even thinking this way. So as we go on with this presentation, I'd like for you guys to, if you have any questions, please stop me and ask me if you have any specific questions. Or if you think I'm talking complete crap, feel free to say so as well. But make sure you tell me why, so that we can at least fix it, then go forward. Yeah. So, mobile malware. Where should I start? So keep in mind that everything that I talk about here is related to the BlackBerry device, and not the BlackBerry 10 devices. It's version 7 and before, right? It's true that the BlackBerry version 7 and older were more secure devices, and in terms of malware, you could easily infect them without social engineering somebody or physically installing the malware on the device. But still, there are ways to get malware onto the device, and I will talk about how some of the mobile malware does what it does, and how we can. I'll present one way that you can prevent against it. Let's start with a couple of definitions first, though. So we'll start with forensics, digital forensics. If you guys were here yesterday in the morning for Pap News presentation, he provided a very detailed explanation of what forensics, digital forensics is. I'm gonna give you a shorter version of it. Basically, when I think forensics, what I think about is a crime scene. In a room, in a house somewhere, there's been a robbery or a murder. It's very, very much like the CSI and the NCIS that you see. So you get investigators, they come in, they don't touch anything, they look around for evidence, they take lots of photographs. And the purpose of it is to build a timeline of events that took place leading up to the crime, and possibly even to see what could take place or to find the suspect. So digital forensics is similar, but the context is different. It doesn't apply to a room or a house or any such thing like that. It can still apply to robberies and murders, but typically you do your investigation on a device like your laptop or your server or your mobile phone. So what happens is a forensics investigator will take your device, plug in the USB and copy data, possibly look in the logs to figure out what you've been doing or what the person owning the phone has been doing. So that's a little bit about digital forensics. You'll see some relevance, like as I was studying this technique for defeating malware, my main goal was to defeat malware, but along the way, it seemed like I could also defeat forensics. So I'll show you a little bit about that as well. So then malware. What is malware? Malware is just one thing. It's purposely written by somebody to do bad stuff. There's no accidental malware. If there is malware, it's written with one reason, to cause problems. So it'll either disrupt your general workflow, it might bring your servers to a stop, it might delete data, or it might sit there quietly gathering sensitive information, like from your mobile phone. It might be taking email from your phone, your contacts, your call logs, etc. So malware is bad. It's you know, no matter what anyone tells you, it's malicious, and it's been written with one purpose, and to be well, malicious. So why is this important to us? It's because I think everyone here has a smartphone. Smartphones are becoming big now. I remember, I'm really old by the way, so I remember back in the day when I got my first 8088 PC. It was like 25 years ago. You know, I was so excited by the fact that I got my PC. I was playing games, I was doing stuff on it. I didn't care about malware or viruses at the time. So what I do is, and like me, many other people were mostly interested in what the device could do for you, rather than you know, worrying about viruses and stuff like that. So the mobile phone these days is very similar to that. It reminds me of that, because everyone's interested in what the mobile can do for us, and not so much on the security of it. Although lately, in the past couple of years, there's been a lot of developments in malware, both growth as well as in detection and prevention. So we should care about malware because there is definitely a large growth in malware. And Daniel Hoffman from Juniper wrote that in 2011 we saw 155% increase in malware, in mobile malware. And a significant portion of that was on the Android as well. So malware is bad, it's on the rise. But what are we doing about it? So typically if you ask somebody what they would be doing about their mobile malware, they'll say, oh, I've got an antivirus scanner. Okay, that's fine, that works. But let's look a little bit closer at antivirus scanners. I mean, how do they do their detection? Right? So, again, taking from Patnu's presentation yesterday, he talked about signatures in antivirus. So signature-based. What does this mean? Basically, if you are a malware or an anti-malware or an antivirus company and you decided to take on the challenge of detecting malware, what you would do is you'd probably have a team of guys. And their one job would be to go out on the internet and find malware. That's all they did all day long. They would just go out and try to get infected by this malware. And what happens when they get infected is they bring these malware programs back to your lab where you can analyze them. So when you have the malware programs, they're just like your calculator program or your notepad program. It's just a program. Malware is just a binary program, just like anything else. So you take this binary program, and then you'd run it through an algorithm that you develop. And the job of this algorithm is to come up with a signature. So it will read all the bytes of the malware and it will detect, okay, you know, this malware looks at email, so I'll build a signature accordingly. But basically, you just have to keep in mind that once you put malware through this algorithm, it just generates one small signature. Why does it do this? Because once you have this one signature, you can then run the same algorithm on different programs. So when you run it on a different program and you get a matching signature, you know that this is malware. So this is generally how antivirus companies work. So they they need to go out and find malware and then analyze it and generate signatures. Then they'll build their database and hopefully detect malware on your device. So, as I explained, antivirus companies are looking for unique characteristics, right, in detecting malware. So then, how about, you must be wondering, new malware, or malware that hasn't been distributed widely? Say if it's specifically targeted for a small group of people, would they have it? Chances are that they won't have the signature. So the problem with this conventional approach is that if you don't have a signature and if you don't know about the malware beforehand, you're not going to detect it. So it's just going to be on your phone and you won't know. Right? So the job of antivirus companies is, and if you want to be the best antivirus company, you want to know all the malware that's out there. But this isn't possible because it's a cat and mouse game. The malware authors are always quicker. They may write it targeted to one or two people specifically. And so it's very difficult to kind of use this approach to detect malware. So I'll give you a quick overview of what this would look like. So you have your generic malware detector, and it's got its malware signature database. So when malware makes an appearance, either you clicked on a link and you downloaded something, or somebody took your phone and physically installed something on it, the detector will run this algorithm and try to generate the signature of this new malware that's on your device, and then it'll query the database. If this is in the database, then the scanner will stop the malware, right? But like I said, this only works for the malware that you know. So if you don't know about the malware, or if you haven't got the signature for it, then it's very difficult to prevent or even detect this malware. Again, this is an article from Dark Reading, April this year, saying that now what malware does is it changes itself. It's called polymorphism. What happens is each time the malware is run, it'll change a couple of bytes in its own self, in its program. And when that happens, when you try to get the signature for that, you'll get a completely different signature. So because of that, you won't be able to detect it again. And in 2012, at least 50% of signatures have failed. So because malware changes itself, some malware even compresses itself using zip. So this isn't a sustainable kind of approach to take to detecting malware. So what am I going to propose to you today? Let's start with the very basics. So we know that if you don't detect it, the malware is going to get on your phone anyway. So I suggest we just assume we've been infected. Assume that you've got malware on your phone. That's just what you need to do to start, right? No matter what it is, even if you have an antivirus on your device, assume that you've been infected. This helps you stay paranoid. Right? I love being paranoid. I'm often thinking that people are watching me, people are reading my emails, etc. I know in some cases it's a bit weird, but for me it seems healthy. So then when I feel paranoid, I kind of limit the amount of data that I would share on a specific medium. Like if I don't trust my mobile phone, I'm not going to share super sensitive stuff on it. So that's a good thing to start with, right? Get that out of the way, we're all infected by malware. Then let's take a look at the actors in this specific instance so that we can learn more. So there's you, right? And then there's your mobile device. And there's the guy trying to spy on you, right? So there are three main actors that we need to keep in mind for today. The guy spying on you, he's the guy who writes the malware, right? And he may be doing that just for you specifically, or maybe he's targeting a big group, right? Like the entire group in this room. So it doesn't matter. This is what it is. So we know we're infected. We know who is after our stuff. Let's figure out what the guy spying on you is after, right? If you consider your phone a smartphone, a general smartphone, like if you consider a BlackBerry, these are things that you're going to have on your device, right? Your inbound, outbound emails, SMSs, phone call logs, BBM messages, and contact information. So the guy spying on you wants this. He wants your emails, he wants your SMS, he wants your phone call logs, etc. So how does he do this? Now, thankfully, I mean, for the malware developers as well, BlackBerry has provided a lot of very good APIs that people can use. And what they can do is set up a listener on any of these folders so that when a message comes in, there's a flag that's raised and says, hey, I've got a message that's come in, what do you want me to do? And at this point, you can execute your own code. So if I'm watching the inbox folder, for instance, I'm waiting for the time when a message is added to the folder. And as soon as that's added, I can run my code to take a copy of this message and then forward it across to my server or my email address somewhere. And in this way, I can spy on you. I can get access to your email. Okay. So what we need to do is look at this information more closely. So just like the malware and the guy spying on you is trying to get this information, we also have the opportunity of connecting to these folders. So, but what do we do with them? Somehow. So let's assume you're infected. The guy spying on you is looking for your information, which we covered. So he's relying on all that data coming out of your phone, your emails, your SMSs. He's copying it happily. Right? And he expects it to be accurate. It's no big deal. He installs the malware on your device, and that's it. You know, he waits till he can collect all that information. So he expects it to be accurate. But what if the data wasn't accurate? What if he was getting garbage instead? What if he was flooded with thousands of emails or thousands of SMSs generated by us just to make his life more miserable? So that's what I want to show you guys today. An alternate approach to defeating malware. It's not orthodox, it's very strange, and I don't expect it to be a full-time solution. It's just a partial solution. And the only reason I came up with it is because I didn't like the guy spying on me. So anything I could do to make his life miserable, I was going to do it. Right? So let me cover some of the techniques that I've specified in my paper. Now, like I said, I wrote this white paper about 2 years ago. I will be releasing it on Monday, along with the sample code as well. I'll give you a link to how you can access it at the end of the presentation. So the first technique that I've coined, please, I think I was drunk when I came up with these names, so just bear with me on that. So it's DDTS, or don't drop the soap, right? The next technique is boot flood, which is phony object escalation process. And the last one is FML, or flush my log. Now, as I've indicated, when I was doing this research, I figured out that DDTS and FML can be used for anti-forensics as well. And I'll explain why and how a little later on. So let's look at each one in detail, shall we? DDTS, possible use for anti-forensics. All right, so we'll go through this. Okay, so remember I said there are listeners that you can use to get email and stuff? You could also apply that to hardware events. So if I start listening on one of these classes, USB port listener or IO port listener, whenever somebody connects a USB cable to the phone, that event is going to get flagged, the connection requested event. So then I know, or my program knows, somebody's trying to connect to my device on USB, and then I can take appropriate action. So, for instance, if a forensics examiner has got a hold of my phone and when he connects it to his USB cable, then I could do a bunch of stuff with it. Well, what could I do? So when he connects his USB, I could flood my email box, my SMSs, contacts, or I can flush them out. Right? So I'll cover flooding and flushing the log in the next few slides. But this is one of the techniques that you could use. Typically, it won't be related to malware. It'll mostly be for forensics because that means somebody has your device physically. All right, this is a little bit more in depth about how you can hook the message folders. So this is probably going to be this and the following few source code slides will only be the most technical in this presentation. But if you want more information, there's always stuff on the white paper. So there's source code and sample code on it. But basically, I wanted to show you that RIM provides, or no longer RIM, BlackBerry provides packages and interfaces where you can listen for message events. Right? So let's look at what happens when malware is trying to listen onto your email. So malware is listening on your phone, it's got a listener running. You get an email that comes in, but the listener takes a copy of it and sends it across to whoever is spying on you, and then displays it. Okay, now let's look at what it would be if we used the flooding technique. So it's true the listener now is listening for email, but we've also got our program connected to the inbox folder, right? And what we do is periodically we generate a couple of thousand emails and we put it into this folder. So what happens then is the malware program sees, oh, I've got a couple of thousand emails in my folder, and he takes a copy of it and forwards it to the guy spying on you. Right? So essentially, this way you're flooding him with emails. If you want to see the code, it looks a bit like this. You start with the message store for CMIME, which is your email. Then you generate 10 random messages. And then after that, you clean up, because it's important you clean up, because you will see these messages. They are on your phone. So you don't want to end up with like 50,000 emails in your inbox. You just want the other guy to have it. So you can clean up the junk emails that you've created. A similar approach with call logs. So sometimes, like if you've looked around online, you can get commercial spying malware, for instance. There's one called FlexiSpy. It's for like $300. You pay for that. You install it on, your friend's mobile or somebody you want to spy their mobile, and it will collect your email, your SMS, call logs, etc. Now imagine if this was FlexiSpy and how FlexiSpy did this. It would listen in for an incoming call, and then once it received the call, it would take a copy of that number and just forward it to the server. But if we had our own code, here I'm just creating 10 random numbers. This bit of code will generate 10 random numbers and put it in your call log. So it'll seem like these 10 random numbers have called you. But if FlexiSpy was listening, for instance, it would get flooded with this list of fake phone numbers. Similarly for the contacts as well. So you can get your, through the BlackBerry API, you can flood, you can just create fake contacts just so that you can annoy the guy trying to spy on you. Flooding the guy spying on you is good, but you need to realize that even in forensics, they deal with a lot of data, right? They don't go through each and every one of your emails one by one. Instead, they'll do a search. They'll search for keywords like bank, password, PIN, etc. Just so that it'll make it easier for them. So if they have 500 emails, they're not going to look through all 500. They'll do a search for bank, for instance, and then when they find it, maybe they'll find it in 3 emails. So it's so much easier to go through 3 emails than 500. So one of the things that I had to keep in mind when writing these countermeasures is to generate an algorithm that will go through your existing mail and take keywords from that mail and make it look like the fake emails I'm generating are real. So what I'm doing is, if I just randomly created 1,000 emails and sent it to the guy, he can easily, figure out that, oh yeah, this 900 emails are crap, this 100 is valid, which I can search for. So by picking proper keywords, you can also fool him in his search. So, previously when he had 500 mails and he searched for the word bank and he got 3 mails, now if he has 10,000 and he searches and gets 7,000 with the word bank, he still has a long way to go in terms of trying to find the legitimate email. So let's move on to log files. Every device has a device log, right? Typically, developers will use it when they're coding to figure out if there's any problems with the with their source code or with the program itself. So what's unique about the BlackBerry is it also the BlackBerry log file, which you guys can actually access. If you hold down the Alt key on your BlackBerry and type LG, you will open up your log file. But this can also be accessed by connecting the device and retrieving the log file. What's interesting about the BlackBerry log file is it keeps a copy of every inbound and outbound phone call that you receive. So even if you delete it from your call log, say you get a call from somebody you're not supposed to, and you delete it from the call log, it'll still remain in the BlackBerry log file. And forensics analysts know this, so they know where to look, and they'll check in the log file and they'll say, oh, okay, so you have called this person or this person has called you. So with the FML attack, all right, before that. So as you can see here, the log file on the BlackBerry is finite. It stops, right? So every entry is written from the bottom, and as you keep writing entries, this stack will grow to the top. And what happens when it reaches the top? The oldest entry is popped off at the top of the stack, and then it's gone forever. So with the FML attack, we periodically write garbage into this log, just enough so we can fill it up. In this way, anyone examining it will just see the stuff that we wrote. So all the entries would have been overwritten. So this is another good anti-forensics technique that we could use. We can combine this with DDTS. So as soon as somebody connects a USB cable to the device, we can run this and completely get rid of any evidence. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not encouraging people to break the law and then use this to help them stay ahead of the police. But it's important that you know the data that's on your phone and what your phone is collecting about you and have control over it. So this is all I'm doing. I'm just giving you, if you don't want somebody to find out specific information, then it's your phone. You have the right to override the logs if you want. I don't know what the iOS log file size is. I know you're a fanboy. So the BlackBerry log file size is 16 KB, the Android logcat size is 64 KB. That's all you need to write. So you just need to write enough data to override the logs. All right. So why do all of this? Like I said before, I really like annoying the guy spying on me. I want to give him a haystack and ask him to look inside it for a needle. Right? It's my data. Why should I give it up without a fine? Let him work for it, right? So this is why I came up with this approach. Now, I don't know if it has been done before, but what I wanted to do with this presentation is kind of tell you guys about it, and then hopefully, using the stuff that I've found, you can research it more for other platforms or improve it, for instance. So the approach is unorthodox. It's a good wingman for the conventional approach. So you can use this approach together with your traditional antivirus scanners. Like I said before, it's not foolproof. It's got its problems, but it does make it hard for the guy trying to spy on you, right? And we don't want him to get our information without working for it. So to recap, malware is big. Mobiles are getting big. Malware is climbing as well in terms of getting big. There are conventional ways of finding malware using signatures, but in my approach, I just assume that we're infected. So we introduce controlled noise, just so that we can make it harder for the guy spying on us. And then you can sit back and laugh, knowing that the guy has to go through tons of data to retrieve your information. And that's the end. You can email me if you have any questions. You can ask some questions now if you want. You can email me. The second link is a link to my blog, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's my Twitter handle. I will be releasing the white paper and the sample code and the tools possibly on Monday at this location. So if you just visit that, you'll find the link to download it. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay.
They will answer the question.
You will answer the question.
Will answer the question. It's them. It's for them.
What you will ask?
We discussed this. You said you will do it first.
No.
You can ask them any. Well, no, maybe just
one or two.
Android developers. Yeah.
Ada yang mau tanya?
This is really interesting presentation from you, Sharon. First, I would like to comment about your way of taking care of the malware.
Yes.
Actually, we Indonesians have already thought of it.
Okay, good.
When we receive SMS from the fraud people, we usually bomb them with another SMS. That's what happened in here. Okay. Just a backstory. The first one I want to ask is, how do you exactly know that there's a malware in your device, and then it's time to put your application into it? First thing, because when it's a new malware, like you said, we won't ever know that it's here. And secondly, I would like to ask is, how about what your application will do to the performance of our own device? Just like when we're receiving an email, is there any delay compared to if you were not installing your application? That's all my question. Thank you.
It's know if the malware is on your device, right? You just have to take a chance, assume that you are infected, and install this tool, for instance. What's interesting about the tool is it doesn't tell you that there's malware on the device, but you will begin to see your device behaving differently. So let's say that for each email you receive, an email is sent out to the server, right? That's data that goes out. If you generate 1,000 emails, then your phone's going to take some time sending it. You're going to wonder, why is my indicator for outgoing data on all the time, right? So in a passive way, this can help you show you that there's something wrong with your phone. And then maybe you can dig a little bit deeper. So if you have the knowledge, or you can bring it to somebody who can look at the phone, and then you can. So it's not really an active way of detecting; it's a passive way of detecting the malware. So performance-wise, yes, you will see a problem, but it won't come from adding messages to the inbox. I've added 1,000 messages to a BlackBerry Torch. It just took like a couple of seconds, probably less than 2 seconds. So adding it is not the problem, but when the malware that's kind of trying to take the data out, that's where you'll see the problem. So you will notice something wrong with your phone. So it's not like ideal, but at least you'll find out a bit more about your device.
Cukup? Many of them using BlackBerry. I think two more.
Okay.
Okay. It's okay for you?
Two more.
Two more question.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course. Okay. Ada lagi yang mau tanya? Ya Mas, sebentar. Giliran.
ask you something.
Sure.
My name is Farid,
Fine.
and in my thesis, I used to be. And I have a question about your topics.
Sure.
Have you ever compare your like floating email or SMS with OpenBTS? Do you have OpenBTS?
No, I haven't had the opportunity to look at OpenBTS. I know there's a lot of research and a lot of work that has gone into OpenBTS in Indonesia, and that's really something interesting. Like Abeng was showing me yesterday, a repository of all the data that they've gathered, and I was just telling him it's so bad that I cannot speak Indonesian because there's so much of data research that you guys have done that I just can't read about it. But no, to answer your question, I have not seen how it works together with OpenBTS. But maybe that's an opportunity. If I release this and you've done some research on it, feel free to contribute back to it and build it together.
Thank you.
My name is Armi.
Hi.
I just want to ask, I'm a regular user, not technical user.
Okay.
So for the regular user like me and many other users, do you have any tools or any things that, or any way that we can prevent our BlackBerry from malware attack or anything?
Yeah, I did release a tool, but I didn't maintain it. I kind of got busy along the way. I couldn't find a maintainer for it. And so that was also, it was